Big news out of DC. It feels like every day or at least once a week now, DC is doing something to either affect interest rates positively or negatively, and it's just been a lot to follow. So, we've had the 50-year mortgage, we've had the ability for, these investment firms like BlackRock to not be able to buy homes. You have the GSEs buying $200 billion. You have so much, right? Recently, we had the DOJ subpoena Fed Chair Powell, so much information. In reality, a lot of it is noise, right? 50-year mortgage refinance, not going to happen. I don't see how we're going to stop investment firms from buying single-family residences. It's just they buy it cash. They're not needing loans. That being said, the one we want to talk about, because a lot of them is headlines and a lot of them is trying to boost home affordability, which we like. We want to boost that home affordability. But there's one that is actually super positive, one that is actually trying to lower interest rates. And that is the news coming out last Thursday, and that is the GSEs, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, will be buying $200 billion of mortgage-backed securities. This is important. This is great news for all of us, and we're here just to kind of break down how it works and why it's important. Okay, so first and foremost, let's break down how mortgage interest rates are derived. Okay, you have your 10-year Treasury. Right now, and again, I'm going to use round numbers because round numbers make this easy. 10-year Treasury, we're at about 4%. Remember, as an investor, you can invest in the 10-year Treasury. You can get 4% return on your investment. And it is the good faith and credit of the United States government that you can know that that 4% is going to be returned back to you no matter what. You're betting on the United States to pay that back, right? It is the bedrock of everything. 10-year Treasury, 4% return. Okay, well, mortgage investors, we have to give them something to want to buy mortgage-backed securities. So there's a spread, 4% 10-year Treasury, mortgage interest rate, again, let's round, easy numbers, 6%. 6% minus 4%, 2%. We're giving these investors who are buying mortgage-backed securities that extra 2% difference so that they feel incentivized to buy mortgage-backed securities. Because remember, they may be making 2%, but they're not making 2%. You have default risk, right? You have early payoffs. You have to pay administration fees. So that 2% in reality comes down to about a 1% extra return. But that's their value. Guess what? They are buying our mortgage-backed securities. So they get a little bit more return than that 10-year Treasury of 4%. So it's 6% minus the 1, get about 5. They get a little bit better than the 10-year Treasury, okay? So what happens is the government is coming in and saying, hey, we're going to buy $200 billion of these mortgage-backed securities. And it's the single most fundamental rule of economics, supply and demand. Right? Well, we have somebody. Now we're going to buy $200 billion, which is not a ton, but at least it's something, right? Guess what that does? That brings a lot of demand, so the supply goes down, so now we don't have to pay these investors that 200 basis point spread, right? Where it's, again, that 2% difference, but in reality, they're only making 1, and historically, they're usually making about 160, 1.6%, 1.7% difference, right? So we're high, 2%, historically 1.5, 1.7%, so a little high. So as the government comes in, they're basically telling these investors, hey, guess what? We're here to buy this. So you better start lowering your premiums and you better start buying it. So what it does is it brings that spread between that 6% interest rate, 4% 10-year Treasury, it narrows it, 5.875% interest rate, 4% 10-year Treasury. Now the spread is 1.875, so it lowers it. Okay, it's not going to lower it drastically. It's not going to lower it by percent. What it's going to do, it's going to have an immediate effect, 0.125%, maybe 0.25% lower in interest rates, right? That is an immediate positive news for mortgage interest rates. And guess what? We're 5 days past this, and we've already seen that. Interest rates are officially the lowest they have been in over 1,200 days. Okay, so 1,200 days. It's not by, we didn't have like a Band-Aid ripoff where interest rates went from 6.125 or 6.2% down to 5.25. We went from 6.125% to 6.07, right? So it's not drastic, but that being said, hey, it's positive news, and that's what we're here for. We're here to try and relay this positive news because this is good for us, and we like to see this. So if you have any questions on this, please feel free to reach out. We hope this is good news for everyone.